Let's spar, just for fun. The words sliced through the noise of the gala like a dare meant to wound. For a moment, the laughter froze midair. Glasses half raised. Cameras ready. Every head turned toward the waiter standing under the chandelier, Malik, 20-something, calm, dark-eyed, holding a tray that didn't even tremble. Across from him, Damien Cole grinned, the kind of grin rich men wear when they think the world belongs to them. He adjusted his diamond cufflinks, pretending charm. But everyone could feel it. The challenge wasn't friendly. It was a show. A few minutes earlier, Malik had caught a tumbling tray before it hit the floor. One hand. Quick, quiet, effortless. The kind of reflex that made the billionaire's ego twitch. Now, Damien wanted to turn that moment into a spectacle. Come on, he said, circling the table. You've got moves, waiter. Let's see them. Malik's reply was soft, almost polite. I'm working, sir. A wave of laughter rolled through the crowd. Champagne glasses clinked. Someone whispered, scared already. Damien smirked. What's the matter? Don't want to mess up that uniform. Malik looked down at the crisp white shirt, brushed invisible dust from his sleeve, then back up at the men taunting him. His eyes were steady. His silence louder than any insult. But silence only made Damien bolder. He leaned closer. Tell you what. $10,000 if you can last 30 seconds with me. Phones came up instantly. Recordings started. Every guest wanted the clip, Richmond Humble's waiter. Malik's manager, red-faced and anxious, shook his head. Don't, Malik. Just walk away. Malik's gaze drifted to him, then back to Damien. His voice didn't rise. If it'll help you enjoy your evening, sir, he set the tray down on the nearest table, wiped his hands slowly on a folded napkin, and stepped forward. The air shifted. You could almost hear the change, laughter thinning into whispers, curiosity tightening into silence. Damien clapped once, loud. Now that's the spirit. A brave man at last. He loosened his jacket, handed it to an assistant, rolled his shoulders. Don't worry, I'll go easy on you. Malik didn't answer. He just looked at him, really looked, like a man studying a puzzle he'd already solved. Someone in the crowd muttered, why does he look so calm? Damien strutted toward the center of the marble floor, the lights gleaming off his watch. Malik followed slowly, each step quiet, measured, controlled. Ladies and gentlemen, Damien said grandly, raising his arms, our evening entertainment. Laughter and applause echoed, but Malik didn't flinch. He just began unbuttoning his jacket. The movement was unhurried, deliberate. He folded it neatly over the chair, adjusted his cuffs. Then, that stance. Feet apart. Shoulders aligned. Balanced. Too perfect for a man who supposedly spent his days carrying plates. The crowd's laughter stumbled. Damien blinked, just for a second, as if something didn't fit. You, trained before, he asked, masking unease with a laugh. Malik met his eyes. A little, he said quietly. The cameras zoomed in. Every face in the room leaned forward. The sound of a violin from the live band faltered and died. Even the air felt tighter. Damien forced another laugh, louder this time. All right then, let's dance. He dropped into a flashy stance, slapping his hands together for the crowd. Malik didn't move. The billionaire's grin widened, the grin of a man convinced he's still in control. He had no idea he'd just stepped into the one kind of fight he could never win. As Damien squared his shoulders and lifted his fists, Malik inhaled once, steady and slow. The gleam of the marble reflected their figures, arrogance facing silence, noise facing precision. And when Malik finally raised his hands, ready but unshaken, a chill swept through the room. The laughter was gone now. Only the sound of his breath remained. Don't worry, I'll go easy on you. Damien's voice boomed across the marble hall, smug and self-assured. Cameras were already rolling. The crowd formed a loose circle, glasses in hand, ready for a show. Malik stood quietly in the center, sleeves rolled up, his waiter's jacket folded neatly on a chair behind him. He didn't smile. He didn't even blink. He just nodded once, steady, unreadable. Damien stretched his neck, cracking it like a warning. "Hope you've got good health insurance," he laughed, throwing a wink at the crowd. Then he moved first. A sharp kick sliced through the air, clean and loud. Malik tilted his head, just an inch, and the kick missed by a breath. The crowd roared with laughter. Someone yelled, "That was close." Damien grinned, loving the attention. "Lucky," he said, shaking out his leg. "Won't happen twice." The second kick came faster, harder, louder. Malik didn't step back, he shifted his weight, absorbed the motion, and Damien's leg glanced off his shoulder. Malik didn't react. No wince, no step back. Just a slow blink. Something in Damien's grin faltered. Guests started murmuring. That didn't look random. Is he trained? Malik stood still, breathing evenly. His voice was calm, almost soft. "You're off balance." Laughter broke out again, louder this time, but forced. People thought it was bravado. Then Damien lunged again, eager to prove him wrong. His foot landed awkwardly, and he stumbled, just as Malik had said. For a moment, silence. Then awkward chuckles. Damien brushed it off with a snort, straightening his jacket. "You got lucky twice." But now, there was a sheen of sweat at his temples. He circled Malik, slower this time. His movements less playful, more cautious. Malik didn't move, didn't taunt, didn't strike. His eyes followed Damien like a quiet predator studying rhythm, not rage. Damien swung a punch, wild, showy, all power and no thought. Malik turned his shoulder slightly, the punch slicing through empty air. The crowd gasped. Malik still didn't hit back. That made people whisper louder. Why isn't he attacking? Is he scared? But anyone looking closely could tell, he wasn't scared. He was in control. The restraint itself was power. Damien started breathing heavier. His jokes dried up. Each punch grew sloppier, louder, desperate to land one clean shot. Malik's shoes barely shifted on the polished floor. Every movement from him was quiet precision. Finally, Damien connected, a glancing hit to Malik's shoulder. The billionaire smiled in triumph. "Gotcha," he panted. Malik looked at him, steady, patient. "Did you?" The crowd fell into uneasy laughter again. Malik took a small step back, just enough to reset his footing. His breathing stayed calm. Damien's chest heaved. And then, one more lunge. Damien's biggest move yet. He swung with everything he had, shouting as he did. Malik moved like water. A twist. A shift of weight. One hand guiding the motion. Damien's own force turned against him. His body spun halfway before crashing down on the marble floor with a sharp, echoing thud. Gasps filled the hall. Champagne glasses froze midair. Damien blinked up from the floor, stunned, trying to understand how he'd ended up there. Malik stood over him, not gloating, not smiling, just calm, respectful, his posture perfectly straight. For a heartbeat, no one spoke. The crowd that had been laughing minutes ago stood in silence. All that arrogance, all that noise, gone. Damien's face flushed red as he scrambled to his feet, muttering, "Slip. I just slipped." But no one laughed this time. Because everyone had seen it. The way Malik moved wasn't luck. It was skill. Real skill. And for the first time that night, Damien looked unsure. Again. Damien barked, his forced laugh echoing through the marble hall. "Lucky hit, right? Don't get too proud of yourself, janitor." I didn't answer. I only bowed slightly, a quiet gesture that drew even more attention. "I didn't mean to make you fall," I said softly. The words were humble, but they cut deeper than any punch. The crowd murmured, half in amusement, half in disbelief. Damien's smirk faltered. His pride couldn't handle quiet respect. Phones lifted again. Everyone wanted the second round. That's when I noticed the man near the edge of the crowd, older, sharp eyes behind thin glasses. He wasn't laughing. He was studying me. Later I'd learn his name, Dr. Avery Lang, retired military trainer. But in that moment, he just tilted his head slightly, like someone recognizing a familiar pattern. Did you see that? Someone whispered. He moves like a soldier. Damien overheard it. His jaw tightened. You think this is funny? He shouted, stepping closer. Fine. No luck this time. You'll regret showing off. I wanted to refuse. I didn't come here to humiliate anyone. But then I saw my brother, standing near the buffet, wearing the same black uniform, clutching a tray so tight his knuckles were white. He was scared. Not of Damien, but of what might happen if I didn't play along. I nodded once. All right. Dr. Lang leaned toward a guest beside him. That boy's not scared, he murmured. He's measuring him. The crowd tightened, sensing the shift. The laughter faded. Damien lunged first, wild, heavy swings fueled by anger, not control. His strikes cracked through the air, inches from my face. I moved just enough, a shoulder tilt, a wrist deflection, a breath's distance. No waste, no sound. The more I stayed calm, the harder he tried. Sweat started to bead across his forehead. His breathing grew uneven. I could hear it, frustration turning into fear. You think you're better than me, he snapped, throwing a desperate hook. I caught his wrist midair, not with strength, but with timing. The movement was small, almost invisible. I released him instantly, taking a step back. No aggression. Just space. People whispered again. He's not fighting back. He's controlling him. Damien's eyes widened. He realized it too. The power had shifted. The man who thought he was entertaining everyone was now the one being watched, judged, cornered. He gritted his teeth, growled, and spun into a full sweeping kick. It was fast, sloppy, but fast. I sidestepped. My hand rose instinctively, stopping just short of his throat. 1 inch more, and he wouldn't be standing. Silence. You could hear the air conditioning hum. I didn't hit him. I lowered my hand slowly, stepped back again, and gave a respectful nod. Dr. Lang's voice broke the stillness, low but clear. That's not luck. Damien staggered backward, confusion and humiliation written across his face. He looked around, searching for laughter that wasn't there anymore. And in that heavy silence, every person in that room realized something simple, terrifying, and unforgettable. The man they'd mocked wasn't just a waiter. He was something else entirely. You got lucky twice, Damien sneered, trying to sound amused, but his voice cracked halfway through. Let's see you handle a real opponent. I looked at him, calm, steady. There's no need to prove anything, I said quietly. That only made it worse. The silence stretched. Whispers rippled through the guests. Some began recording again, others whispered my name like it was a secret they weren't supposed to know. Who is he? He's too calm. Did you see that move? Damien smirked, pretending not to hear, but his eyes darted nervously toward the crowd. The same people who once cheered for him were now watching me. I turned slightly, stepping back toward the edge of the hall. It's done, I said, lowering my gaze. But before I could leave, something inside me stirred, a voice I hadn't heard in years. It pulled me backward, into a memory I'd tried to bury. The sound of mats under my feet. The sharp snap of a kick landing. Applause echoing through an indoor arena. I was 16, national junior taekwondo champion. My name back then wasn't whispered, it was announced through loudspeakers. And the man shaking my hand on the podium was Damien's father, the head of the foundation that sponsored me. Damien stood beside him, a little older than me, wearing a medal he hadn't earned, just grinning for the camera. Then came the gala. The night everything changed. My father worked security for that same foundation. A kind man, quiet, honest. When a diamond bracelet went missing from the display case, the blame fell on him before anyone even searched the room. No evidence. No trial. Just shame. By morning, the sponsorship was gone. My medals meant nothing. The whispers began again, the same way they did tonight. We lost everything. My father's heart broke, not because of poverty, but because of dishonor. I started cleaning floors in the same buildings where I used to train. And at night, I still practiced, silently, in empty warehouses, with no audience. His last words before he died still echo in me, strength isn't about noise, son. It's about control. That sentence became my discipline. My armor. The memory faded, and the sound of laughter pulled me back into the present. Damien was still performing for the crowd, still pretending to be in control. But something had changed. My silence wasn't submission anymore, it was restraint. I looked up at him, not with anger, but with clarity. Dr. Lang's voice suddenly cut through the chatter. Wait, he stepped forward, eyes narrowing as if piecing together a puzzle. You're Malik Darnell. I saw you compete at nationals. The air froze. Every whisper stopped. Every phone lowered. Damien's grin faded, slow and uncertain. And for the first time all evening, he realized he wasn't the one being watched anymore. Washed dishes since, right? Damien's words sliced through the silence, sharp with panic. His voice cracked halfway, and everyone heard it. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Before the tension could fade, Dr. Lang spoke up from behind the crowd. Washed dishes or not, he said evenly, that stance of his could dismantle yours in seconds. The laughter that had filled the room earlier was gone now. No one dared to even cough. Phones were still up, but the smirks had vanished. Damien forced a laugh, clapping his hands together. All right, he said, pacing like a man cornered. Let's make it interesting. He turned toward the guests, searching for approval. One final round. No luck, no flukes. If you win, he pointed at me, I'll donate 100 grand to the staff fund. If I win, you go back to serving drinks and stay out of my sight. Gasps rippled through the crowd. That number, 100,000, had them hooked again. I looked at him, then at the faces around us. Their curiosity wasn't cruel anymore, it was uneasy, as if they sensed something they couldn't explain. I said quietly, deal. That single word shifted the entire room. The air thickened. The music had long stopped, but you could still feel the rhythm, a different kind of pulse. The kind that comes before impact. The guests stepped back, forming a circle. The marble floor gleamed under the chandelier light, and for a moment, it looked less like a banquet hall and more like an arena. Damien bounced on his feet, rolling his shoulders, breathing loud and heavy. He was sweating before it even began. I stood still, relaxed, centered, watching him the way still water watches the wind. He lunged first, fast and reckless. I shifted just enough for his fist to graze my sleeve. He grunted, came again, harder. I heard his breath before I saw the punch, loud, desperate. Every move he threw, I saw twice, once in real time, once in his intent. It was all noise. All chaos. He shouted mid-swing, come on. Fight back. But I didn't. I let his rage burn itself out. The marble under his shoes squealed as he pivoted, too sharp, too wide. I sidestepped. His own weight carried him forward, unbalanced. He swung again, trying to recover, but I caught his arm, not hard, just enough to redirect. His wrist locked against my palm. In that single breath, the sound in the room vanished. One subtle twist. One shift of my shoulder. Damien's body lifted slightly, and then the impossible happened. The billionaire black belt hit the ground. Hard. The marble echoed with the thud. No one moved. No one spoke. His breath came ragged, broken between disbelief and pain. My hand was still in the air, calm, steady, exactly where it had been when I caught his strike. Dr. Lang's voice broke the silence, low but clear, that was control. I looked down at Damien, not with pride, not with anger. Just quiet understanding. Because I knew the fight had never been about power. It had been about restraint. And in that moment, everyone finally saw the difference. Nice trick, Damien muttered, brushing marble dust from his sleeve, trying to act like his pride wasn't lying there with him. His voice carried that brittle edge of a man pretending he still had control. I met his eyes for a second, my tone calm. No trick, I said. Just practice. A quiet ripple moved through the crowd. Then, slowly, someone started clapping. It was hesitant at first, one pair of hands echoing against the tall ceilings. Then another joined. And another. Within seconds, the same people who had laughed at me were applauding. Not wildly, just a slow, respectful rhythm that filled the silence Damien couldn't command anymore. He stood there, smile tight, face red beneath the glow of the chandelier. "All right, folks," he said loudly, forcing a chuckle. "Guess the waiters got moves." But nobody laughed with him this time. Dr. Lang stepped forward, his voice clear and grounded. "You all just witnessed control," he said, gesturing toward me. "Not violence. That's what real mastery looks like." The guests nodded quietly. A few even stepped forward, shaking my hand with awkward admiration. Some whispered apologies disguised as compliments. "Incredible form, didn't see that coming, that was beautiful." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Damien's PR manager standing frozen, eyes wide, already realizing what this meant. Phones had caught everything. The humiliation. The reversal. By morning, the internet would know exactly what happened, and who humbled the so-called black belt billionaire. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just picked up the tray I'd set down earlier, placed the scattered glasses back on it, and gave a small nod toward the guests. "Enjoy the rest of your evening." I started walking back toward the service corridor when Dr. Lang called out, "Wait, son." He approached with a faint smile, handing me a card. "I train tactical teams, law enforcement, special units. I'd be honored to have you teach with us." I looked at the card for a moment, then at him. His offer carried genuine respect, not pity, not curiosity. Just recognition. "Thank you, sir," I said softly. "But I'm fine where I am, for now." He nodded, understanding something unspoken, and let me go. As I passed through the wide glass doors of the hall, I caught sight of my younger brother by the entrance. He hadn't moved the whole time, just stood there, eyes wide, holding his empty serving tray like it was something sacred. When our eyes met, he smiled. Proud. Behind me, I could still hear the noise, not applause anymore, but whispers circling Damien like vultures. "Black belt, huh?" one voice said. Another chuckled, "Guess the waiter taught him a lesson." I stepped outside. The night air was cool and quiet. The stars shimmered faintly over the city skyline. I took a slow breath, feeling the tension leave my shoulders. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying the weight of shame or anger. Just peace. Because my father was right, strength isn't about noise. It's about control. And sometimes, respect doesn't come from victory, but from silence.